Right, well, we'll get started because it's just gone 12. And I'm just keeping an eye on my emails as well for anyone that's having trouble joining us. So this is our first webinar, so hopefully, fingers crossed and touch wood, it's all going to go well. If it doesn't, please bear with us. We wanted to kind of introduce ourselves, Charlotte and myself, because although we do work for Abilia and we are salespeople for Abilia, we do have a lot of background knowledge, and we are not just salespeople, we are mothers of autistic children and have backgrounds in special needs as well. So we kind of just wanted to share with you in this time what we're doing with our kids at home, how other people are using Abilia products. We will talk a little bit about the products that we sell as well, primarily because we use them. So it'd be hard for us to tell you what we're doing without us telling you about Abilia products, because we use them at home as well. And we'll kind of talk to you about, oh, sorry, I just had an email come through with someone that's struggling to get on. So we will tell you, like I say, a little bit about the products as well, and a little bit, if we've got time, about how other people are using the products. Because we work with local authorities and NHS, we work with charities and colleges as well. So we'll go through, if we've got time, a little bit about that as well. And then we will be doing a follow-on webinar, which will be more product-based. So this will kind of give you a taster of who we are as people, who Abilia is as a company, and with an overview of our products. And then, like I say, we'll go on to do future webinars within the next few weeks of the products individually, so we can give you a bit more information on them. So if I give you some information on me, so I'm Sarah. My background is in special needs. I was a TA for many years, working one-to-one and small groups. I also have a son at home who's autistic. So I, from a professional point of view and from a personal point of view, I'm happy to share advice and anything that I've learned along the way. Before lockdown happened, we had a really lovely routine. My son was using what we call the handy calendar, which there's some bits up on the slides now, which show you how we used it. So we had a daily routine, which included checklists for the things that he struggled with, and also social stories in the notes section of the handy calendar. So that was all running really well. We had this up and running. The school were really good at helping him use it as well. And obviously it meant that I could set everything else up for him and he would run away with it. It also meant that his handy calendar was telling him to get dressed, have breakfast, do his teeth and put his deodorant on, rather than his mum, which obviously at home that took out a lot of negative dialect. And if a device is telling him to do it, he seems to be reacting much better to that. That's before lockdown. Obviously with lockdown, things have changed slightly. I'm going to pass you over to my colleague Charlotte, who's going to introduce herself and go through how she used to use the handy calendar with her son. And then we'll go on to a bit more about what we're doing now. So this is Charlotte. Your mic's not on, Charlotte. Charlotte, your mic's not on.
Sorry. Yeah. So yeah, I'm Charlotte and I work at Abilia in the education department. My story's incredibly similar to Sarah's actually. I've been an SEN TA for quite a long time, switched over and moved up to Abilia. Primarily because I guess I want to see the other side of education, and so this was a really kind of big learning curve for me because I've got no idea about assistive technology. So Ollie is 14 and he's on the autism spectrum, copes really, really well with mainstream school, but has trouble with time management and routine management and routine planning. So handy calendar has just revolutionised our lives. He hasn't had a detention for missed homework or for missed PE kit, for example, since December of last year, which is remarkable because he was getting one a week before then. So it's made a huge change. His usual routine would be that handy calendar would wake him up on his phone next to his bed. He would have his routine through the day. He would know where he was supposed to go, what room he was supposed to be in, which teacher he would have. his Senko used the handy calendar as well, which meant that if there were differences within the school routine, so shorter days or different teachers for whatever reason, that would be in his handy calendar without us having to get involved, which really kind of gave him a sense of knowing what was coming and knowing what was en route, which reduced anxiety hugely for us. So yeah, we're really big fans of handy calendar.
Sorry, bear with me. I've got a couple of people that are trying to get in. I'm just quickly sending the live room link through to. Okay, so we're going to come back onto me now. So I'm sure that most of you that have either autistic children at home or are working with autistic children than you or adults will understand this slide. It's pretty much how we lived our life before I started using the Abilia products. With the lockdown, things have changed at home. Jake's not wanting to use his handy calendar, and that's primarily because he sees that as a tool to support him at school. And there is no school, and he's still getting his head around the fact that he has to do schoolwork at home, which I'm sure is something that a lot of people are struggling with. So we have a very basic routine in place at home, and we're using a countdown memo timer, it's called. I've got one here to show you. I think my conservatory at home may be a little bright and you might not be able to see the lights, but our memo timer shows time as a concrete. It shows time as a lights going out, and when the lights do go out, the time's passing and the alarm goes off, as you can hear. We are using the memo timer at home instead of the handy calendar at the moment, and in place of a concrete timetable, just because the concrete timetable Jake was struggling with. So we use the timer. I either to set him a task in 20 minutes, you're going to start your schoolwork, and then we use the 60-minute timer, and he does an hour's worth of schoolwork, or which my kids see as a punishment at the moment, having to leave the house and do some exercise. He used the timer to say in an hour we will be going outside. So we have had to adapt, as everybody has, to the kind of support that we're giving at home. Plus my son does go between two homes, mine and his dad, so it's really difficult for him to have a complete structure in place. So we're keeping it kind of as light as possible, but using the timer instead of the handy calendar that we used to use to support. So that's kind of how we're running things. So I'm going to pass back to Charlotte, who's going to tell you how she's running things in her house, and then I'm going to go a bit more into the remote support options with assisted tech.
So in our house, we've again found the handy calendar app on Oliver's phone hasn't been that successful whilst he's been in lockdown. Partly because of the school thing, because he relates it to a school support system, but also because he just is really, really struggling with the whole concept of lockdown. We have a memo day planner on our dining room wall next to the dining table, where I've kind of set them up a little area for learning. And they've just got a kind of exactly the same concept, a list of what they need to do each day. The time just is visible to him. He can count down. We can tweak it to what I think they need each day. And it means that he's got a visible timetable of what needs doing, when it needs doing, and we can adjust it based on the mood that he's in, the environmental demands that he needs or doesn't need, and it gives him that same support system, but just in a kind of low tech way. Excuse me, and it's really, really helped him just process the fact that this has all changed our lives so quickly in such a short amount of time with very little planning time. It's been a really useful tool for us, definitely.
Okay, bear with me. So remote support is one of the things, obviously, that most people have tuned in to find out about. We have all of the solutions that kind of Charlotte and myself have talked about, and a few more that we haven't gone into yet. The handy calendar app that we were both talking about, obviously we've had to kind of move things along with our kids because they're not really coped very well with the lockdown situation. But prior to that, the handy calendar was working really well. And I think if it's introduced now into a lockdown situation, you probably won't have that kind of battle. And I think most of it, like Charlotte was saying, was because it's associated with schoolwork, and our boys are struggling with the thought of doing schoolwork at home, which I get. We struggle with the kind of work at home day to day as well. So all of the Abilia digital products work from a cloud account. So you have your My Abilia, which is in the centre, and that can be looked after by anybody that's involved in the care of that person. So essentially, you can log on to their calendar, you can see what's been put into their calendar, you can put extra things into that person's calendar for them. You can add many different support people. So it could be a family member, it could be someone that's supporting remotely from school, it could be somebody that's reporting remote supporting, like a care worker. Obviously that's difficult at the moment because of the lack of being able to visit people. And so this will be able to help you maintain people's routines and help you be able to add to people's routines if they need to. But also you can check on things that are not being ticked off. So for instance, if somebody's got in there that they need to take their medication and they've not been ticking it off, then you'll be able to give them a quick call and find out why they've not ticked it off. Maybe it's an oversight, or maybe they've just not been following their daily plan. The My Abilia is available to have through an app, and it's also available on a browser, so you can use it on a phone or a tablet or a laptop, PC, anything you're using. So it makes it really adaptable. The Handy Calendar app is available on iOS and Android, and it works across both platforms as well. So for instance, I have my Jake's calendar on his iPhone, but on my Android phone. So I can keep an eye on what he's doing and what he's ticking off, and it works across both those platforms without any issues because it's obviously governed from the cloud account. You can also see the information on a smartwatch as well. So if you've got a smartwatch that's linked to your phone, then the basic activity will come up. And also we have on the left-hand side to me, I'm hoping it's on the left-hand side to you, is our memo planner. And this is a large tablet. It's a dedicated device just for that person's calendar. You'll be able to use that remotely as well through the My Abilia account, and those come in like a small tablet, like a normal tablet size, but also a large wall-mounted, almost like a TV size. And they are Skype enabled as well, so you'll be able to keep in constant contact with that person, and again monitor their activities and add activities if people are finding it difficult. You can also add information if someone's struggling at a certain point of the day. You can add video messages to voice messages, sorry, to all of the products. You can record some songs for them to listen to through their app. Anything that you think that if someone's struggling at say 10 o'clock in the morning, then you can put some support in there for that person at that time. So like I said, we will be going more into product-based webinars at a later date. We kind of wanted to give you an overview of what we're doing as parents and what's available out there to support somebody with autism. And we work with dementia care, and we work with acquired brain injury and learning difficulties and stroke. So it doesn't have to be autism. We've based this on autism. Obviously, that's where we wanted to start due to our expertise in that area. If obviously, if you have any questions, there is a question chat box down the side. I keep seeing bits and pieces flick up, so I'm probably going to take it off just so it stops taking my attention away from that box. But what we're going to do is at the end, Charlotte and myself are just going to nip through the questions and go through and answer as many as we possibly can. We'll have our contact details up as well, so you can contact us. So feel free to type in any questions along the way that you need. Bear with me. So our next slide, I'm not sure if Sandra's on. I can't see the list of attendees at the moment. My internet's playing up a little bit. This is Sandra Gasson. She's a specialist occupational therapist and works with the sensory and autism team in Kent County Council. and Sandra was supposed to be on today, so she may well be listening to this. She very kindly did a case study for us at the beginning of this year. She's been remote supporting her son with Handy Calendar now for a few years, and supported him through university. So from home, Sandra was able to log into Sam's calendar and set him tasks to do. And because you can add real pictures and create checklists and leave voice messages, you can also create, as it says at the bottom, an activity to wash your clothes. And you can take pictures of the washing machine, what setting it needs to be on, what washing powder or liquid you're going to be using, how long to set it for, and instructions on how to go back and take the washing out of the machine once it's finished. So it's really, really good for teaching life skills. And in the bread box, you can see some of the things that it meant that Sam was able to do by himself, and really take that anxiety out of living away from his parents. So obviously there's a web address at the bottom where you can read Sandra's full case study, as well as a case study of my own with my son Jake, and also there's other case studies of people that we've been working with over the last year and a half. The memo day planner that Charlotte was showing that she's currently using with her son, that is a standalone product and not digitally accessible. It's quite a low-tech board, but if you're supporting somebody that's already using that board or would like to be able to use the low-tech version, then that's something that remotely you could do via a Skype call or a WhatsApp call, and just get them to fill it out themselves while we're in lockdown. What was my next one? Bear with me. So we wanted to share some resources with you. The National Autistic Society have amazing resources, and they've also got some really updated resources with the coronavirus. The Autism Directory as well is another charity that's helping with the coronavirus lockdown at the moment, and has got loads of great resources on there. And something that I found this morning and added to this was an article that Temple Grandin had written. I'm sure everybody working with anybody with autism will know who she is, but she has written an article, being autistic herself, has a great insight into this, and tips on how to deal with how to help children, and obviously how to help parents through this as well. So our next thing was to just go through the chat box. I don't know if you've managed to keep up with this while I've been nattering away. Charlotte, your mic's not on.
So yeah, I've replied to a couple of people.
Ah, perfect. And Sandra's there saying she's listening as well. I'm hoping that Sandra will be able to do a talk with us on one of our next webinars along the way, so she can share Sam's story and how they're using it in the local authority as well, because Kent County Council are using it to support people. Sorry, go for it, Charlotte.
Yeah, so Helen's asked if she can recommend our handy calendar through the DSA yet, and absolutely yes, we got DSA approval in February of this year, which is fantastic. So DSA assessors can recommend it. If anybody wants any more information on that, feel free to email us or contact us, and we can point you in the right direction. We've got a couple of questions here as well. One of them says, we've touched on our sons only associating this with school, so is it just an educational support tool? I would say absolutely not. I know you would probably feel the same way. Absolutely not. It's a home, I guess, a home and school, or a home and study skill tool. So it would be across the board, but it would also be for independent living, I guess. And I know obviously your trial with Leonard Cheshire, Sarah, if you wanted to explain about that, how it works and how it supports more, that'd be really useful.
Yeah, and obviously me using it myself with Jake before all the lockdown happened, the handy calendar, just having that visual representation of getting up, getting ready for school, having his checklist there, that meant that his mornings he was more independent. Instead of his mum saying, have you put your deodorant on, he was doing that himself. So And as I touched upon with Sandra's son, with the teaching how to do the washing, it's not a skill just for education, it's life skills as well. And that can be done to the most minute detail. If you are looking to teach somebody how to use everything to make a cup of tea, or how to prepare their breakfast, or how to prepare a meal, within the handy calendar, you can put links to videos. So you can put a link in to, for instance, how to make dinner, how to make a jacket potato, how to make pasta salad, and all those things will come through in the handy calendar. And again, this can all be done remotely. So you're remote supporting somebody to start their day in the right way. We also have people that are using it for supported internships. So that gets people to work on time with the right equipment, dressed appropriately, smelling appropriately, as well as if their employers are involved as well, or they've got a key support worker they can put in their routines for work. So they will have their whole daily routine in there with photos if necessary, and then instructions on how to get home, how to catch a bus, reminders to lock up your house, reminders to do your shopping, how to clean your house. So there's so much that you can put into Handy Calendar to help you remote support somebody, that it's not just an education tool. It's just that we have 14-year-old son, so that's how we use it at home. But we have lots of case studies online of how people are using it separately. And like I say, when we go on to do another webinar, that will we will do one specifically on Handy Calendar with more like of a how to use it. And then we will go into more details about which local authorities are using them, which charities are using them. Like Charlotte said, Leonard Cheshire, just a big charity, we've just set up a home for people that have got learning difficulties and a mixture of different things. And the staff will be remotely supporting people to live more independently so that they can eventually move into their own properties and back into community.
Okay, so we've got another question through saying, is it just for children? So you've answered that one, it's not just for children. Is it just for autistic people? That's another question that's just popped through.
Again, we are using, like I said, with various different things. Some people are using the low-tech board, the memo day planner that Charlotte showed you she's working with at home at the moment, the big whiteboard, and some are using the more digital solutions, and it'll really depend on that person and what suits them best. As you've seen from me and Charlotte's having to swap through different solutions, it's dependent on the person. There is no solution that fits one person. I can't say to you that all autistic people are going to be able to use the Handy Calendar, because that's not the case. But we have found generally that the low-tech versions work really well with somebody that's struggling with dementia, because it can help them stay on tasks, but they don't have to learn anything new. We have found that, especially with young adults and teenagers, the more digital versions are the preferred option, because anything that's a gadget and anything that's digital seems to go down really well with teenagers and young adults. You can also, with the Memo Planner Large, record your own voice. So your own voice is telling you to do something. And I know that's something that's worked really well with the people that we've got using it now. Rather than a parent or a care worker or somebody else telling you what you need to do, your own voice is telling you it's time to get up, or it's time to wash the clothes, which is a really lovely feature as well. So like I say, it can go across many different age groups, and there is no one size fits all. It's just, we would speak to you. We work on a very consultative basis. So if you contacted us, we would talk to you about what needs you're working with, or if it's a specific person or maybe a group home, and then we would look for a solution that will fit what you need.
Okay, so I was going to say, we've got a question asking about costs and prices, because we haven't put any prices on anything yet.
No, we haven't put them directly onto a slide. I can either send everybody a price list afterwards, rather than try and go through, because you won't know the names of everything. It's probably easier if I just email everybody that's registered a price list, because I've got a price list that's got a photo of each product, and the price that goes next to it. The handy calendar that we were speaking about as an app, that's what we've kind of done most of our presentation on. The handy calendar is £120 a year. And with that, you get the online cloud account as well. So with the online cloud account, you can invite in as many people as you need to be a support person, and you can download that onto multiple devices. So yeah, don't look at the products and think these are all going to be horrendously priced, because they're not. But I will send price lists out to everybody.
Okay, Stephen's asked, we showed a memo timer. Is that our product?
This memo timer here, yes, this is our product. It comes in 4 different times. This is the one that I use at home all the time. It's got 5, 10, 15 and 20, but we do 4 different. And at the end of this, we will be downloading files that you can, in fact, I can publish them now, so that you can see. You should be able to see these on your screen. Memo timer. And those are the products. These are the product files for everything that we've spoken about today. And on the memo timer one, you will see that there's 4 different time. What's the word? It's gone out of my head. There's 4 different time options. That's the word to use.
Okay, so we've got another question. Do we have to program everything directly into the person's specific device?
You can do it remotely, and it's going to take maybe a couple of hours to get that person set up. You can copy and paste activities, and you can set activities up. So for instance, my son, he has an activity to pack his PE kit twice a week when it's the day before PE. So with that, it's that activity is saved as a checklist into his folders, and then I can just drag and drop them in. So once you've kind of set up a person's routine, it's more about maintaining it rather than constantly having to set up new things. Everything in there that you've already been set up, you can save as a template. So you will need to spend some time setting it up, but then after that, it pretty much runs itself, other than the odd thing that changes on a daily basis. You can also set things up for instance, for the school year. I've set everything up for Jake until what should have been September or August. And then you can just take out everything that you've put in for those holiday months. So there's like a vacation manager, so you don't have to delete things manually or set things up too many times.
Okay, that's the end of the question. Well, I can't see any more questions. I think we've got them all. Thank you, everybody who has asked questions.
At the end of our time anyway. We do offer a 4-week free trial of the handy calendar. And probably what's best is if we send instructions on how people download that with the manual on how to use it to everybody that's joined us today. Most people have got our contact details, but I've put our contact details on this slide anyway. We didn't actually publish the poll, did we?
No.
Let me publish the poll. There's just 2 questions, if you don't mind having a look at them and just clicking on the answer. And then, is that just publish 1 or 2? I can't see what it's done. I think we can only do 1 at a time. So this is the first one. I'm going to give a couple of minutes to do this, and then I have to publish the second one. It's just for us to really to find out where you found out about us, so we can know for future webinars how to keep in touch with people and what's the most effective way. There's also at the bottom of this slide that I'm showing now, there's a free to print icon. So the activity icons that we use in Abilia that are standard in all of our products, you can go on and print them off. So if anyone's looking to maybe set up a visual timetable, in the meantime, you can use some of those generic pictures. I mean, generally we like to try and use photos, because obviously that makes it more representable. I can't actually get our second question up. I don't know if you see it on your side, Charlotte.
No, I'm just trying to look for it. No, I can't.
All right, we can stick with that one for now. So obviously the file, there's the sheets that I've downloaded, you will be able to download and see for yourself there. If you've got any questions, feel free to come back to us. Like we've said before, there won't be any kind of heavy sales, because we don't we understand that not every solution will work for every person. So feel free to ask us questions. Feel free to ask us questions about dealing with all this stuff from a mum's point of view as well, because like we say, we live this on a daily basis as well. So it doesn't have to be about Abilia products. And if you want to have a look at anything in more detail, then we will happily set up some online demos through Microsoft Teams. As I say, we will be coming back to do more webinars over the coming weeks that are more focused on our products. So yeah, I think that's pretty much the end of our time. We run to time. So thank you everybody for joining us, and we hope that that went really well. And yeah, we'll send up some information to everyone this afternoon.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.